Look at the next page. How to tell the difference between adjectival and adverbial participles. This is the real bugaboo for a lot of students. You learn what your adverbial ones, and now we got this adjectival chapter. How can I tell the difference? Adverbial participles are never articular. If you have an adverbial participle, it will never have the article in front of it. You haven't seen those in your exercises. If you ever had an adverbial participle, there was no article. It was an arthrous. Adjectival participles are frequently articular. They're frequently articular. Okay? So, based on these two facts, we can summarize this way. If a participle is articular, if it has the article, it must be adjectival. It must be adjectival. If it's articular, it must be adjectival, because if it were adverbial, it couldn't have one. Okay? If the participle under D is an arthrous, then it could be either. If my participle lacks an article, it could be adverbial or adjectival, but it is more likely going to be adverbial. So that's where the probably belongs. So I've given you 4 places to practice determining whether the participles are adjectival or adverbial. So look at the first one. Legon to anthropo Iesus lambane ta paidian. What does Iesus lambane ta paidian mean? Jesus lambano? What's that? Receives. Good. Ta paidian? The child. Okay? Jesus receives the child. Look at legon here. Is this a participle? Yes, it is. What case, gender, and number is it? Yes. Nominative, singular, masculine. Good. What stem? Leg, ape, leg. What is that? Yes, it's a present active participle. Great. Now here's the question. Is it articular? No. If it's not articular, do I have to say it's adverbial? Like, must it be adverbial? No. It's probably adverbial, but it might not be. Right? When wouldn't it be? Well, if it accompanied a noun, agreed with it in case, gender, and number, and if the noun's definite, then I'd need to have the article in front of it. Okay? Jesus is a definite person, okay? But this participle is lacking the article. So it's probably not talking about the speaking Jesus, but rather adverbially, while, if I use a temporal notion, while speaking to the man, Jesus does what? Jesus receives the child. All right? So here, nominative participle, nominative Jesus. Jesus is doing the speaking and the receiving here. Okay?
What do you mean by articulate?
With the article. Okay? Like if I were trying to use a participle to qualify what kind of person, the speaking to the woman Jesus as opposed to the speaking with the dinosaur Jesus. Right? Remember, Jesus was a common name back then. So if I wanted to say, hey, which Frank can't stop by the office? Well, the eating 5 hot dogs Frank. Right? Oh, yeah, I see that guy over there named Frank eating 5 hot dogs. And there's this other Frank who's fasting today. Right? So we look at the next example. Hopefully we can...
Frank of a certain man, like his father.
Yeah. The Frank, yes, the Frank of Billy versus the Frank of...
Or a group or religion.
Yeah. In other words, normally personal names are not going to be qualified with adjectives or participles as attributes unless you're trying to distinguish people, right? And so legon there is going to be adverbial. While speaking, Jesus does such and such. On the other hand, if you look at the second example, ha legon to anthropo lambane ta paidion, here I have a participle, and notice what is in front of it. An article. So if there's an article in front of a participle, can it be adverbial? No. So this has to be adjectival, doesn't it? And if it's adjectival, what are my possibilities? Substantival, predicate, or attributive, right? So which of the three is it? It's substantival. Notice I have ha legon, the speaking, which is nominative, and then there's no nominative noun that it accompanies agreeing with in case, gender, and number. So it is doing the work of a noun. The speaking one. The speaking one to whom? The speaking to the man one. Or, I might translate this as, he who is speaking, right, to the man. Or the one who is speaking to the man receives the child. Okay? Whatever you translate it as, it has to be the subject of the verb. So receives. Because it's what case? Nominative. All right? Masculine singular. So, what determines the case of a substantival participle? Its function in the sentence. It's the subject here. That's why it's nominative. What determines its gender and number? What it stands for. If the speaker is a masculine singular speaker, then I'm going to use a masculine singular form. If it's a feminine singular speaker, then I'll use a feminine singular form. But if they're both doing the receiving, then they're going to be nominative, no matter what gender and number they are. Now look at this third example. I have Jesus lambane tan apostolon. How would you translate that? Jesus receives the apostle. Okay. Notice that the apostle is what case? It's accusative. That's why we're making it the direct object of our sentence, right? Jesus receives the apostle. Now I have ton legonta to anthropu. What case gender number is legonta, the participle? It's accusative, singular, masculine. What case gender number is ton apostolon? Accusative, singular, masculine. So do I have a participle next to a noun and agreeing with it in case, gender, or number? Yes. Does it have the article in front of it? Yes. And does the noun too? Yes. Then this is what kind of a participle? It's attributive adjectival, right? And it's telling me something about the apostle. So Jesus receives the apostle. How am I going to translate this? Is it Jesus receives the speaking to the man apostle? If I were German, yes. It'd be a good German way to say it. But I'm going to use a relative clause. The apostle who is speaking. Now notice that this is a present active participle, and that's why I'm giving it continuous kind of semantics, right? The apostle who is speaking to the man. Yes, you could say that. Jesus receives the apostle speaking to the man. All right, and then the last one, we'll do this real quickly here. Pisteuan ta Jesus lambane tan anthropan tan legon ta to apostolo. All right. Look at pisteuan ta real quickly. Is that a participle? It is. Look at the alpha here. Okay, the new tau tells me it's active. The alpha, okay, it's third declension. So this is an active participle. I'm using the present stem, and it's accusative singular masculine. Jesus lambane. What case is Jesus? He's nominative. He's the subject. So Jesus receives ton anthropon. Jesus receives the man. Okay? What case is man? Accusative singular masculine. Pistuanta is accusative singular masculine. So who's doing the believing, Jesus or the man? The man. Is this articular or anarthrous? It's anarthrous. There's no article. So is the man articular? It is. So if the man's articular, an attributive participle or adjective has to agree and have the article with it too, right? This one doesn't. So that tells me this is adverbial. After believing, meaning after the man believed, Jesus receives the man. Or you could say Jesus receives the man after that man believes. I'm sorry, this is not, this is present, so it's while. Jesus receives the man while the man believes. So I've got an adverbial participle, but look, I have another participle here that is right beside anthropon and is the same case gender number. So what kind is this? This is not adverbial, it's adjectival. And it is attributive because it agrees with it in case gender number. So it's the man, the speaking to the apostle. How are we going to translate that? The man that or who is speaking to the apostle. Okay, so to put it all together. After believing, and that believing refers to the man, Jesus, sorry, I keep saying after. While believing, Jesus receives the man, the believing man, who is speaking to the apostle. And if you were speaking to an apostle, you'd probably be believing too, wouldn't you? I would hope so. All right. We'll stop there.